Welcome to That's What I Call Marketing. It is top of the marketing charts for September 2024. This is a list of kind of the things that caught my eye, things I found interesting and wanted to share with you. But of course, there's probably lots that I have missed. So do leave a comment with your thoughts of things that I may have missed or things you just disagree with me on. I definitely want to hear your views and comments. So first up, it's all about attribution, and is it doing more harm than good? Well, there was a white paper from Analytics Partners, and it explores the growing inadequacies of traditional attribution models in marketing, especially in digital landscape. These models have obviously been long used by marketers to determine effectiveness of advertising channels by assigning credit to specific touch points that is leading to consumer purchases. But as you well know, digital platforms, as they become more complex, we've got privacy regulations that are limiting data collection. We're finding it harder to really get a full view on the customer journey, and this is weakening attribution models, according to Analytic Partners. Now, one provocative view in the white paper is the suggestion that attribution models might be actively harming marketing strategies. Marketers are often optimizing based on perceived rather than actual performance, creating what the white paper calls as the measurement triangle of doom. This cycle of bad data leads to poor decision making, wasting marketing investments. This is a problem. Now, attribution obviously offers some real-time insights. It is, as Analytics Partners suggest, no longer the reliable tool it once was, leading to over-attribution of some channels. Now, these are facts that are well known by all of you, like missing data due to ad blockers, privacy, significantly distort attribution results, yet we're still using these models. The paper raises a controversial argument whether marketers should just abandon attribution altogether. Now, traditionalists obviously resist this notion because of the substantial investment in attribution models and the difficulty of switching systems. However, Analytics Partners are advocating for supplementing attribution with more comprehensive tools like MMM, and that account for incremental sales and offer a broader cross-channel view. Les Binet is quoted in the paper, and he has obviously been critical of attribution previously, and he says that attribution often claims credit for sales that would have occurred anyway, misleading marketers. Like, it's a really important thing for us to get right. So what to do? Well, the paper encourages marketers to embrace new measurement approaches, carry out controlled experiments, something I've done, and it actually has real impact on understanding what is going on in market. They definitely recommend a shift from over-reliance to attribution models, taking a more holistic approach, holistic toolkit. Of course, attribution does have value, but I think we're all in agreement it has to evolve. Next up was an article I saw in MI3, and I, as you know, I'm a fan of MI3 in Australia. So I was talking to actually John Lombardo and Pete Weinberg about it and talking to them about my MI3 Australia fandom. So you definitely won't be surprised to see there's more than one reference to MI3 in this month's newsletter. But this was a great article that really captured my attention. In the article, Jon Bradshaw criticizes the effectiveness of data-driven targeting in advertising, despite the booming $700 billion martech industry. Now, the article kicks off by reminding us of an insight from Ariel Garcia, who was the former chief privacy officer at in the US. She managed to get her own data from a broker and found that she was in 500 different audience segments as both a man and a woman. Now, let's just go over that again. She was in 500 different audience segments and turned up as both male and female. Right, we have a problem. Jon Bradshaw in the article argues that the foundations of data are flawed, leading to poor ad performance. He references 3 studies that challenge the assumptions that data-driven targeting improves advertising. The first study suggests that the cost of targeting often outweigh the benefits. The second, it finds that broad reach is more effective than narrow targeting in generating incremental sales. And the third study reveals that the second and third party data perform no better than random samples in reaching target audiences, while first party data is only marginally better. And contextual advertising outperforms everything. Now, Jon Bradshaw goes on, he highlights the fundamental issue that the prevailing belief that refined data-driven targeting leads to better ad performance may be misguided. He calls for evidence, not opinion, to refute the findings. And while programmatic and martech driven advertising have been hailed as the future, Bradshaw questions whether these methods are worth the investment given the poor quality of data and high cost of targeting. He also points out that despite the widespread use of personalization and programmatic ads, the foundational data often fails to live up to its promises. Now, in September, I had an episode of That's What I Call Marketing with Professor Kuhn Pals. And when he spoke to us, he said something that is replicated in this article by Jon Bradshaw, and that is that advertising is a weak force that works best when it simplifies decision making for consumers. Instead of hyper-targeting based on flawed data, placing ads in the right context and using broader reach tactics can be more cost-effective and yield better returns. So Bradshaw urges us to reconsider our heavy reliance on data-driven targeting and suggests that we focus on the places where consumers are already engaging with the product categories rather than trying to reach them through intricate data segmentation. So a lot to take in there, and I definitely encourage you to go read that article on MI3 Australia. The headline is $700 billion delusion, so you'll find it by searching that. Now, I do have a plea for you. Can we please stop letting Gen Z write the marketing script? Okay, so last month I shared the Curry's piece, social media piece, when Gen Z writes the marketing script. It was fresh, funny, well delivered, but oh wow, can we please move on from this trend? I have seen so many versions of this, from Airfield Estate to B&Q, Northumberland Zoo to East Midlands Airport. Okay, everyone, it's done. Let's move on. Thank you very much. Now on to one of my favorite topics, AI. And AI definitely always shows up in my monthly roundups more and more. And I'm getting to spend more time with AI tools, and I'm experimenting a lot where I am not familiar to get my head around it. I genuinely believe that the impact of AI on our industry is underrated, possibly. I'm not sure that clients and agencies are fully getting their head around it and the opportunity that exists. And, you know, particularly for agencies, I see huge opportunities for agencies to embrace AI technology. Happy to talk to any agency leaders and share my views with them. Recently, I was looking at Viant. I was watching the launch of Viant AI with co-founders Tim and Chris Vanderhook. They've launched an AI tool, and I was drawn into it by Dr. Augustine Fu, who commented on saying it was very cool. Now, here is a man who's pretty vocal about the problems with digital advertising. So him to think this is really cool is something I want to keep an eye on. So have a look at Viant AI and see what you think. Now, meanwhile, on the AI topic, MI3 Australia, yes, yet again, they did an amazing analysis of end-of-year reports. And remember, Australians' end of fiscal year is June 30th. And they were looking how Australia's biggest companies are using AI today. And it's worth a read. What was interesting to me was there was only one clear mention of it being mentioned in and for advertising. Right, that's interesting. Now, you probably saw the Adidas AI spec ad. There are lots of these spec ads happening out there. I don't see anything wrong with it. I think some people seem to. I can't recall who said it, but somebody made a comment that said, I have to remind myself that this is the worst it will get. That's fascinating. Remember, when we see these tools, I looked at some of them 3, 4, 5 months ago, and what they're doing now to what they were doing then, it's massively different. So I think it's a really great statement. This is the worst it's going to get. The Adidas piece was created by Rabbit Hole, who say they were pushing the boundaries of AI. Now, I can't tell if any of the work that they've done is for clients or just spec work, so they may let us know. Back to MI3, who have reported from Eric Schmidt, obviously of Google, talking in about AI impact. Now, I've talked about the AI impact for agencies and brands and all that, but there's other impacts on it. There are impacts around the environment. I don't know if anyone else is as worried as I am about it, because Eric Schmidt has said that there's not enough electricity in the US to meet OpenAI's $300 billion investment ambitions. That's kind of terrifying. Okay, next on to an ad I saw for Emotorad. And I was drawn in by their CMO and co-founder who shared this ad. This is a great piece of work, so go find it out on YouTube. I do link to it in my written newsletter on the website and on LinkedIn. But they've used a really well-known celebrity in India, and they have him behaving in a slightly weird way, going kind of brum brum. I'm not going to even try attempt to duplicate it. And, you know, I think for me, they really understand, and it's in the LinkedIn post from the CMO actually, what they're trying to do. They need to draw people in those first 5 seconds. They've done a really good job of it. Now, could the brand be in a little bit earlier? Possibly. It's a bit of a risk, but it is great work. I think the celeb, from what I can gather, is quite strongly associated with the brand. So that's probably going to help with the branding moment. I think they have great fun with it. There's a wonderful part at the end of the ad where we see the main character going wee and like just going down a hill on enjoying being on his e-moto rad. It's fantastic work, really entertaining, so worth checking out. I loved the work by BBH in London for Tesco's revamped homeware range. I thought it was a really clever idea, kind of taking a fashionista look at the new cutlery and crockery range that they have. Very, very clever. I always wondered why F&F isn't just called Tesco Home. I'm sure somebody has an answer to that for me. Again, as I look at this work, and probably maybe not be able to do it right now, but I'm sure that was a pretty expensive shoot to do. And if you look at the work, you can see it's very well put together. Will AI be able to do that in 6 months for us? Interesting. So here's an offer that's going to make you smile. It's an offer for job seekers from the Smiling CFO. And I forgot to add it last month, and I'd spoken to Mark Smith about it. I think this is a great offer. So the Smiling CFO have lots of data about brands' mental availability. Now, if you are heading for a job interview, especially in the FMCG space, they're going to be happy to talk to you about the data they have for the brand you are interviewing with, giving you a leg up on your competition. They've taken me through their data. It is great and is worth checking out if you are a job seeker. Smiling CFO. That wasn't an ad. Well, G-Star doesn't make it into the UK's top 200 most popular fashion brands. That's a lot of brands ahead of them. So they have partnered up with Olympic gold medalist Rhys McClenaghan. Now, I got to work with Rhys a number of years ago. Really nice guy, such a hard worker. He was only 21 when I filmed stuff with him, and he was just amazing. His ambition, his drive was just phenomenal. So I've always kind of followed him and, looked to see how he's, doing. And it's great to see him leveraging on his Olympic gold medal. But more importantly, I think Rhys is actually going to make G-Star cool again. I just think the piece that they've created with him is really contemporary. The product looks great. He looks fantastic in it. It's real high-end fashion shoot kind of stuff. I hope this works for him. I hope this works for them. On to some bingo. I don't really know bingo calls. Maybe Full House is one. And I love this new work from Tombolo. Tombolo is part of the Flutter family. It is the UK's biggest online bingo brand. And look, this is a packed category, not just online bingo, but such a huge variety of online games, both free and paid. So getting cut through is really, really hard. Tombolo have partnered with agency Meanwhile, which was founded by Tim Jones, James Cross, and Alistair Marchant, to find a way to cut through. They've got stand-up comic Joe Griffin, and they have an ad now that illustrates random moments of downtime that are well suited to a spot of bingo. Starting out with the more mundane, and they swiftly descend into pretty surreal moments. It is all put together with an original track written by the Midnight Beast, the comedy music group famous for their YouTube parody cover of Kesha's classic Naughty's track, TikTok. When I saw this first, I loved it. I thought it was really entertaining, really drew me in, but I actually did think about Yorkshire's tea and Pack Your Bags, and I just wondered, was there any inspiration taken from that great work? Well, on to some office drama. Yes, when you hear the words KitKat, you just hear Have a Break. This brand has been consistently building distinctive brand assets for over 80 years. I did see recently that they changed packaging in the US, but for me it looked like more of a subtle change than total pack redesign. I definitely would have been surprised if they'd done a proper full redesign, given how strong their distinctive assets. Well, meanwhile, KitKat has launched a global campaign highlighting the need for a better quality break in today's busy world. Better Break was created by VML and it's going to launch in the UK and then roll across Europe, Canada, and Australia. Now, clearly the days of remote work are coming to an end as we are firmly back in office work, office struggles, like the drama of being in an office and the stress of being in an office. Like, it's not really shining a great light on wanting to be in an office. And the ad is topped off by I Want to Break Free by Queen. And the research from Cantor, again, this is going to be kind of depressing because we're not loving being back in the office. Only 34% of people reported taking high quality breaks back in the office. Many said their breaks were often interrupted and filled with distractions. And Chris O'Donnell, who heads up marketing for KitKat, he posted about a month ago of the Indian market version of this. I thought it was really, really interesting to see how it was being adapted for the Indian market, and now how this is going to be rolled out across so many markets. The same idea. And look, KitKat Have a Break is an idea that gives and gives and gives. And actually, if you check out the newsletter, I've actually created a few AI images just against the idea Have a Break. So be really interested to get your thoughts on those. I might share them on social over the coming weeks. Of course, the Lions creativity rankings are out, and well, the start of them. Simon Cook, Chief Executive Officer of Lions, said that this isn't just about recognizing work that won awards. It is there to act as a tool to learn and fuel future success. The first report out was the global rankings, and then there's going to be 5 subsequent reports coming out. Now, the problem is you have to have a paid subscription so you can get deep into the insights. So if you have a paid subscription, let me know what you get behind that. Well, there's a great crew getting together, a sound crew of people for Sounding Out on October the 10th. Now, this is an event organised by Kieran Cunningham at Radio Centre Ireland. Now, this is fast becoming one of the must-attend events in the Adland calendar here in Ireland. And while it's focused on audio, it is actually bringing in broad and wide perspective from marketing. There is a phenomenal list of people who are attending this and speaking at it. You've got Robert Heath, Craig Maudsley, Andrew Tyndall, Jess Kelly, Steve Keller. And so wonderful, wonderful list of people who are speaking at this. Yes, about audio, but also about a lot of other things. So it's near to sold out, if not sold out already. So definitely get in touch with Radio Centre Ireland if you aren't one of the nearly 400 people attending this. I did see a brilliant stunt, I thought, that was a great way of landing a message. Came across it in The Guardian. It was a campaign by Dad Shift. I thought it was really, really clever way of grabbing attention. What they're trying to do is improve paternity leave in the UK. And what they did was they attached life-size model babies in slings to bronze statues of men across central London. UK is ranked as one of the least generous for paternity leave. And as a result, fathers have said that they took no paternity leave after the birth of their child. Now, when I spoke to Jan Gooding on this podcast, one thing she talked about is we need to change the conversation from maternity leave, paternity leave to parental leave, and actually change the dynamic. So this is a start, but I thought it was a very clever way of getting the message across. We all know how hard it is to stand out in the job search. 75% of resumes sent are never read, but an office pizza is hard to ignore. Now, this seems like something that a job platform would want to do. For some reason, none of them seem to be bothered to kind of fix the problem. In fact, sometimes I think they make it worse by using generic AI screening tools and reposting old or irrelevant jobs for you to waste your time on. Thank you, job platforms, for all that you do. But for some reason, Pizza Hut in New York have decided they should help job seekers grab the attention of employers and differentiate themselves in a crowded job market by printing applicants' resumes directly on a pizza box and hand delivering them for the specially crafted box to corporate headquarters of the customers, choosing all for free. CMO of Pizza Hut, Melissa Freeb, said, by becoming Pizza Hut's iconic pizza boxes with job seekers' resumes, we are hoping to help resumes drum up the same excitement as office pizza and help the applicant make a lasting impression. I love this idea. I love that Pizza Hut are helping. Maybe, Melissa, you could send some of those pizza my way. I had to pinch myself and wonder, was it Christmas already? Because John Lewis are out with some advertising. Now, they tend not to do big ads outside of their big Christmas ad, which they have become famous for. Now, they probably haven't had as many big hits the last couple of years. So they seem to be doing a bit of a lead up into Christmas this year with their ad through the decades. It's the first of a 3-part campaign which will culminate in their Christmas ad. Now, this is probably quite a clever move by John Lewis because we know the Christmas period is highly competitive and very expensive. About a quarter of all media spent in the UK is focused in the weeks leading up to Christmas annually. And it grew last year. So it's a really competitive time, an expensive time for you to advertise in the UK. So maybe what John Lewis are trying to do is spread the spend a bit more, be more top of mind, and not relying on a big hit to work for them. The ad features archive footage and focuses on a single store window changing through the years. It reminded me a bit of Hova's Go On Lad. I don't know, again, if there was any inspiration from that. Now, the retailer has said that sales had increased significantly since the pledge's relaunch. Sorry, that's to note that they have brought back the never knowingly undersold pledge. So that has led to an increase of more than 50,000 visitors to their website a day. Now, as is the way with all John Lewis, they are focused brilliantly on music. They've got a version of Paul Simon's I Know What I Know, and is sung incredibly well. It's just a beautiful, beautiful track. They do that so well. Now, insights from Kantar, and this was behind a paywall in Marketing Week, so I only got the headline. But anyone who's a subscription to Marketing Week, jump in the comments and let me know what the rest of this article said. But it was saying that in a survey of 1,300 adults conducted by Kantar, an encouraging proportion of people watched the entirety of the new John Lewis ad. On average, people were skipping it around 14 seconds. Short-term sales effects found to be in line with the retailer's previous Christmas ads. However, John Lewis customers were found to respond much more positively to the ad compared to non-shoppers. My guess is John Lewis still need to move the non-shoppers. And possibly part of the reason they're going out early is to figure some of this stuff out so they're not, again, over-reliant on that big Christmas win. So some good news, it is finally over. The fight is over. It is official. Brand building and performance marketing are working better together. That is thanks to work from Tracksuit and TikTok. They have firmly faded the battle lines and we can all just get along. Time to go hug your BFF on the performance or brand team, make them a Taylor Swift friendship bracelet and a cup of tea, probably herbal, and read the awareness advantage study aloud to each other. In some ways, it kind of is a bit astounding that we need this report, but we actually do. So I would recommend go download the report, and here are a few little highlights for you. On TikTok, high awareness brands achieve 2.86 times the conversion rate of low awareness brands. A brand with 40% prompted awareness is 43% more efficient in driving conversions than one with 30% awareness. While brands consistently benefit from increased awareness, the incremental gains in conversion efficiency become more subtle as awareness rises above the 37% threshold. That last point is definitely something I would encourage you to read more about. So all the little things kind of add up and count. Grace Kite had a wonderful article about the cumulative effects of channels in your marketing mix. In the article, Grace points out that while modern media stack is a lot of complexity and fragmentation, it is also full of options and variety. Years ago, while the landscape was fragmented, but maybe not as fragmented, I ran a team of hundreds of experiments, and this was something we tested. Now, probably a bit less scientifically than Grace, but we found a lot of the same results. As you go from using one channel to 5, Econometrics reports a huge 35 to 65% more ROI. According to Kantar, you can even more than double the effect of your brand. No single media channel gets everyone for 30 glorious seconds, but together the stack delivers a critical mass for smaller exposures. Grace calls out the need for some sort of matching luggage approach. For a lot of little campaigns to work right, it has to be samey enough and it gets together in the audience's mind. But I think you need to consider the platforms, as Tom Roach has told us about for a while now. So yes, matching luggage, but do think about the platform. And as Grace reminds us, the platforms that people scroll through only catching a glimpse of your ad are here to stay. So we need to think and plan about the cumulative effect of our marketing. Now, if you were jet lagged and you saw this next campaign, you would have definitely been kind of worried about what had happened. An ad by Specsavers in Melbourne Airport. There was also one in Sydney Airport. And in Melbourne Airport, in the arrivals area, it said, "Welcome to Sydney." Now, this is such a brilliant execution of a long-standing should have gone to Specsavers phrase. It has been around for over 22 years. And the brand has really held on to these 4 words and thought of different and fresh ways to use them and really, really cut through. And that is hard to do. And they've done it in a brilliant way here in Australia. I think this for me is a campaign that travels well across borders. It's got simplicity and universality. It's humor and playful. It's culturally flexible. Like, you can see how this ad could work in any single market. I mean, even markets that Specsavers aren't in, I can see how this would run. It is integrated into popular culture now. It has created an emotional connection. And yes, They've been consistent and they've used this over and over and over again. So great work again by the team at Specsavers. Now, I think we all know the challenges of being stuck behind a desk. And this was a lovely piece by ASICS with Succession star Brian Cox in front of a new ad that wasn't actually for ASICS. So when I saw this first, I was like, oh God, they're going to have to spend a lot of money for people to know this is for ASICS. But it actually wasn't for ASICS at all. It was for a partnership with Mind, the mental health charity. And it was all about saying to people that your biggest problem is right in front of you. It is your desk. You need to get up, get out from behind it, and get moving. So if you're stuck behind your desk now listening to this, put the headphones in, get out, go for a walk, and finish off the rest of this episode, which is nearly coming to an end. I loved these hot ads, fiery ads from Firehouse Subs in the US. Really, really funny, creative ads marking the return of the hot sauce table. It wasn't a thing I knew had left, but I am so glad it is back. These are really funny ads, and I definitely encourage you to check them out. It's Firehouse Subs. Liquid death keeps coming up as a topic for us to talk about in marketing. People love the Liquid Death brand, but are people drinking it? Well, this is another one from the wonderful team at Tracksuit, where Jen Tang has written an article about Liquid Death. Now, as I said, we all love it. It is the marketing success story. It has hit triple-digit growth for the third year in a row, earning $263 million in global sales, and it is valued at $1.4 billion. Now, you might recall my episode with Mark Ritson from Cannes. I just had to drop that little bit in. Unnecessary, I know. But he had a few things to say about Liquid Death. Go find it. It's Mark Ritson, the Cannes sessions. You can't miss it. Now, I jokingly am saying that, read between the lines because Mark's very subtle, but actually you have to listen to what Mark is saying, because you could take it that Mark is having a pop at Liquid Death. He's actually not. He's having a pop at marketers who think Liquid Death is the greatest thing and are forgetting all the other parts of marketing that we have to do for a brand and a product to be successful. Now, in the Tracksuit report, they are questioning, at least asking, if Liquid Death's brilliant creative marketing is enough to sustain this triple-digit growth. They've grown in awareness from 26 to 34% in the last year. It's an increase of 8%. They've got huge numbers on social media. I think it's about millions, 4 million on Instagram, 6 million on TikTok. It is phenomenal. So what is the problem? Well, while the brand has great levels of fame and awareness, dare I even say it, brand love, the problem is it doesn't seem to be translating into people liking and considering the product. Now, when you drill down, the consideration is 41%, which is below competitor average number of 50%. Now, it's for a brand that's 6-year-old, is it that far behind? Fiji Water is 57%. Okay, there's a bit of a gap there. And so the problem seems to be the brand and its ads are talked about. The product itself isn't enough yet. So, for example, I didn't know that they use clean water from the Alps, that the environmental benefits of being in a can versus a plastic bottle. Now, the risk here is that we are saying that we should be encouraging Liquid Death to stop their brilliant fame approach to growing their brand and get into product features like inside-out marketing. I don't think that's what it is. Maybe it's a slight rebalance to make sure that people understand the value of the product. They've leaned into a fame strategy and it is working for them, but it's really important for them, I think, at this point, and this is the point of Tracksuit's article, and I think Mark Ritson's point, is to make sure that's balanced across all the other P's of marketing. So I've no doubt that seems like an incredibly talented team at Liquid Death that they're figuring this out, and probably are quite grateful that Tracksuit have pulled this report for them. So a bit more AI news. And Meta announced their AI translation tool that could change the way you watch Instagram and Facebook Reels forever. Like, this is phenomenal stuff. They've unveiled the cutting-edge AI translation tool that's going to significantly alter how global audiences experience Instagram and Facebook Reels. So they're going to do AI-powered dubbing and lip syncing to create a seamless, natural experience for viewers. So this video, for example, could be viewed in Brazil, and it could be lip synced and translated into Brazilian for my loyal Brazilian audience. And I just think that's phenomenal. Now, again, for someone like me, I can't afford translation, transcreation, so that certainly becomes a great vehicle for me to expand the reach of the audience. So that's what I call marketing. But then if you think about where this goes next, again, What's the role for translation agencies and transcreation agencies and localization agencies if the platforms are doing this already? Again, if you're in that business, I'd be starting to think about, well, what does this mean? And where do we play a role and start future-proofing against that? I'm sure you are, but I just find this all very, very fascinating. I mentioned it last month, I am working on a CEO series. So I am looking to speak to CEOs about their views on marketing. I am looking for CEOs that love marketing. I am looking for CEOs that are less convinced about marketing. And I want to sit down, spend time with them and understand the conversations they care about when they're talking to their marketing teams. I think it's going to be a really insightful series and I'm really looking forward to start working on it. So if you have a CEO who you think would be great for this series, please get in touch with me. That's what I call marketing.com and let me know the details and let's have a conversation about this. Amazing that we had International Podcast Day, September 30th. So, congratulations to all podcasters across the world. Who knew it was a day? I had some amazing guests on That's What I Call Marketing in September and so grateful to all of them. So Peter Hammer, the marketing scientist, joined me. I had Professor Kuhn Pals join me to talk about advertising, the weak force. I had Shane McGonigal and Damien Devaney talk about total brand value. And CMO Greta Hamill joined me to talk about living your brand promise. Amazing episodes, and I'm really grateful to the team at CPL Marketing Recruitment for their support of Professor Kuhn Pals, Shane and Damien's episode, and my episode of Greta Hamill. So incredibly grateful to them. Amazing team of experienced marketing recruiters who are going to help you find the right talent for your team. So definitely check out CPL Marketing Recruitment. Well, look, that is it for this month. God, there was so much to go through in the newsletter. I do have the Notebook LM version of this newsletter. I've also shared that. I've taken the transcript from this newsletter, I've put it onto Notebook, and they have now created a 10-minute conversation about this month's newsletter. I'd love you to take time to listen to that and let me know what you think about it. Of course, if you are enjoying That's What I Call Marketing and you can rate or review any of the episodes you're listening to, it is much appreciated. If you can rate or review the show itself, we really do appreciate that, or I certainly do. There is no we. So any 5-star reviews, of course, are the ones I would love to see. Join our growing subscribers on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter, and TikTok, and also on Apple and Spotify. All the links are on that's what I call marketing.com/podcast. So listen, thank you so much for tuning in to Top of the Marketing Charts for September. I hope you enjoyed this episode, a brand new episode with CMO of Boots UK and Ireland, Peter Markey, is out on the 1st of October. So whenever you're listening to this, if it is the 1st of October, there is a brand new episode with Peter Markey. I also am going to be meeting with Andrew Hassiger from Green Hat, talking about B2B marketing and what we're getting wrong in October. I get to speak with the wonderful Dr. Marcus Collins for The Culture, and I will be sharing my episode that I recorded with Mark Kingsley when he was in Dublin for the IAPI event. So thank you so much for tuning in, and till our next episode, our next newsletter, take care.